Yeah, I don't know, but I've definitely thought about getting rid of a few pedals and dumping
What
them.
about um, what's the Wampler
Yeah,
Mostortion variant?
I'm interested in that. Mofetta.
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 Okay.
There's that, and then there's the Karma MT
Oh, the Karma looks
whatever.
good.
Yeah, that new Karma machine shop is really interesting to me because it's the Moss Torsion on one side, Nobles on the other. You can actually blend them together,
Hmm.
or run them in parallel, or run one into the other and switch which one.
That's too many options for me.
Oh no, not me, because I don't want to blend them, and I don't want to run them in parallel. I just want them stacking into each other. And then if you step on the middle switch, it has a clean boost. I guess it's at the end of the chain, and there's a little knob on the back of the pedal. It's like a momentary switch you can stand on as you're playing through a solo little section
They're
right off
getting
the
so smart with these pedals, like options you had never even thought of.
Yeah, it's genius.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that. And Karma's Nobles variant, the ODR 10 or whatever it's called,
Mm-hmm.
um, is supposed to be an exact replica of Tim Pierce's ODR 1.
Hmm.
I guess they took it apart and checked it out. But anyway, we'll talk more about it later. Let's go ahead and get in this episode.
Hey guys, before we start this episode, we're starting off the new year right. We've got some merch. There's links down below. You guys can check it out. Or if you don't want to, don't check it out. Yeah, do whatever you want. All right, let's get back to that episode. See ya.
Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, which I'm super excited about. Okay, Martin has a new standard on like all their
D's, standard line,
their dreadnoughts and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Do they have it on the triple aught?
It's on the triple aught. It's on the 17s. It's on
all
everything.
right. So, anyways, the big thing, they have golden air bracing.
Yeah, they done golden air bracing. They done the torrified tops.
I don't even know what that means.
That's the stuff they've done to the authentic stuff, right? It's supposed to.
Torrified.
Yeah.
Is that like they're vibrating the wood to make it open
I don't
up?
remember. I think they actually bake the wood slightly to
Oh,
dry it
people
out.
are getting baked now.
People getting baked.
Oh, watch out.
They done that. They rounded off the bridge. So back in the day, they would do it by hand. It was much rounder. The newer bridges are kind of sharp sometimes on the edges, so they're rounding those off a little bit more. Not a big deal, but every little bit changes, right? They slanted the nut, so the bottom part of the nut, where it usually goes on the top of the acoustic guitar, has been flat.
Uh-huh.
On the old ones, they used to slant it with the headstock on the bottom.
Does that really make a difference?
You know what? If they're doing it, I gotta think it makes a difference.
Okay.
If it's closer to what the original, like pre-war Martins were,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Did you say bone nut?
I didn't say bone nut.
Because they did change that, and I feel like that's a big one.
Bone nut, bone saddle, bone bridge pins.
I think that's a huge win, too.
Yeah.
And, like, you got to think.
Just trying to get that bone in there.
That's what she said.
Anyways, you got to think about, like, these are all big changes, and I think it's only, what, $200 more than what they were usually priced?
It was not much.
It's like $200 or $300 more, which to me, that's worth every bit of it.
Yeah, one more thing is they have a thinner fingerboard, which is more authentic to the pre-war Martins. They had a thinner fingerboard. They put thicker fingerboards on later on years.
Okay.
So, I mean, all that stuff matters. We know it's a whole system, and it's a little bit closer to all the pre-war stuff. I was already interested in looking at a standard line Martin recently, and this just gets me a little bit closer
To the pre-war stuff.
to the pre-war stuff, which makes me really happy.
I want a D18, and I want one now.
The best D18 that you ever played was one of the authentic series.
Yep.
Your favorite D18, we should say.
And, like, there's something about the blend of mahogany on the back with that spruce top. I like rosewood back and sides, don't get me wrong. D28's great. It's just a little too shrill on the high end for me, and I think a D18 is my bag.
And I'm right on the market for a D28. Is what I'd like to play. I've got a J45, and that's my mahogany back and sides guitar.
Yeah.
And man, I'd love to get in on a Martin.
I think this, to me, this really makes me want to get one faster than I thought I was going to get one.
Yeah, we talked about our 5-year plan a while back, and we talked about like the 5-year mark was kind of both of our like, oh, I guess we'll look at picking up a Martin acoustic.
Yeah, it
then.
might be moved up to 4-year now.
It's moving its way up, that's for sure. I want to go play one, and compare it. So the Modern Deluxe is one of the ones that I was really interested in for the last little bit. I played one that I really liked. Probably should have bought it. And then I played one of the D28/45 Gruen specs down Gruen's guitars.
With the sinker wood?
No, that's they only do this. That's Sinker's only mahogany.
Oh, okay.
So they only do them like the 18s and stuff like that. But he had his own specs in there. I don't know exactly what they are. I know they don't do torrefied tops for his specs. They said they didn't believe that mattered that much, which maybe that's the case.
I don't know. I trust George.
Me too. But the Authentics I've played, I've really liked too. Played a 28 Authentic, it was amazing. So I honestly think whenever I go to do it, I'm going to drop down by Gruen's guitars. And that way I can play an Authentic, I can play one of the Gruen specs, I can play the standard line.
All back to back.
Play them back to back. And I mean, I don't think anyone, very few people in the world, if anybody, knows Martin acoustics better than George Gruen.
He's the man.
Oh my gosh. But nonetheless, all of these standard Martins just got a huge upgrade in my book.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very excited for it. They basically got 2 steps closer to that Authentic series, which I think the Authentic D28s are like $8,000, or the 18s are like $8,000.
Like I said, I really think these changes, and there's going to be a slight price jump, but man, it's worth every penny.
Yeah, when you're talking like the $3,000 price range, 32, 34, most of the people there in that price range aren't going to balk too much at $200.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't think so either. But yeah, down even on the standard line of like the 17s and stuff, they're doing this golden era bracing. They're doing the rounder bridges. So even if you're looking at that lower price range, yeah, it's going to be a little bump in price, but it's getting these improvements too.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I'm really excited for it, and I think it's going to be a big change for these standard lines.
I think so too. I think people are going to love it.
If you guys are out there looking for a new Martin, make sure you're getting this 2015 version of it to try out.
2015?
I just said 15.
25, folks.
2025. Make sure you're getting the 2025.
We're only a decade behind.
Version. That's right. I'll tell you what. If it was in my brain talking about music gear, I'd still be living in the 50s. But
2015, where Princeton's are still only like $9.99.
That's right. But make sure you're getting to check out one of these new Martins, because I do think there's going to be quite a bit of a sound difference.
Oh, yeah.
I think the feel's going to be different. They recontoured the heel where it comes to the guitar, made it a little smoother. I think they said it was getting a little blocky.
The volute on the back, too.
Yeah, there's a few more things in there, but we kind of hit the high points.
Yeah.
Go check them out for yourselves. I would actually love to play one of the new standards against the old standard right next to each other. I'm going to have to watch for when...
You should play the HD28 against the new standard, too.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep an eye out for our local shops to see if they get one of the new standards in. Mm-hmm. That way I can play it against the other one real fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go ahead and move to your main topic.
All right. So my main topic, all right, we are fans of That Pedal Show, okay? That Pedal Show did a video where they had compact boards and everything, and one of them didn't have reverb or something like that. They just used delay, and usually I like that. Like, if I don't have reverb, it's not a big deal for me. So I was going to ask you, do you feel like reverb or delay is the most needed? Or do you need both? Like, when you're playing a gig, do you have to have both? Can you live with just one? And if you live with one, which one are you taking?
Okay. So, if we're talking about... So we're talking gigs, right?
You're gigging. This has nothing to do with at home.
Okay.
What's inspirational. This is truly at a gig. What do you need the most, or do you need both?
Okay. I need the most delay at a live gig. Reason why is my gig's empty and there's a lot of reverb. No. Reason why is because there's usually some ambience going on. You got a little bit of ambience, but also if you're miking up, you can get reverb through the PA and stuff.
That was going to be one of my points.
I feel like it's not as big of a deal if, oh crap, my reverb tank kicked out. You know what I mean? It's going to happen sometimes, or whatever. Reverb pedal gets messed up. So for me, reverb is the thing on a gig. If I had to lose one or the other, I hope I lose my reverb. Delay, I've got some songs where it's very delay oriented, where it kind of builds the song, you know. Maybe it's a certain rhythmic delay or a certain time delay that really adds to the song. If I'm missing that, like sometimes it sounds like I'm playing, I'd have to make it up and try to play it with my guitar, what the delay is making up.
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely going to be delay is more important on a live gig.
But do you need both?
I need both. I definitely need both. They're just different things, you know? I actually been thinking about a thing that I want to kind of do with you here one day. We'll do it on video too, I've got this kind of new little thing I've been doing with my delay pedal that's really interesting. But when you don't have the reverb with it, it's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of doesn't work as well.
Okay.
So for me, I need both. I need delay and reverb both. Because I'm using them for certain effects, and they kind of, the songs I'm playing right now, they require them, you know. So what's your thoughts?
All right, so I don't know if anyone checks us out on the socials, and I don't like to plug ourselves, but we are on Instagram and Facebook, and I posted on there, I just got a new amp. I got a Princeton reverb.
Yep.
New, I mean, it looks clean. It's used.
Yeah, new to you.
Yeah, it's new to me.
We've been talking about this for just like a year.
I know, but I finally got a Princeton.
Yeah.
So I've been using a Tweed Deluxe, a 5E3 Tweed, and I can't turn it past 1.5.
Right.
That's my problem.
Yeah. We've been through this.
Yeah. So the volume taper on a Princeton is real nice.
Yeah.
Gotta say. But it's got reverb on it, and I'm like, have I really been missing this reverb? It is nice. It's nice to have reverb. Do I have to have it? No. I think I'm different than you. Like, I have a slapback. We both use a Halo on our small boards, and I have a slapback. And honestly, when I have the Tweed, I don't feel like I have to have reverb. Maybe it's because, and I cheat, I have an HX1, and I use the reverb on that as an effect.
I love that you're like, I don't need it because I got this HX1 that has reverb on
it. So I'm cheating a little bit. But I will say, there are some songs that you just kind of need that reverb.
Yeah.
And you can't really replace it with delay as much as you want to. It's just not the same. It also doesn't give you the depth that you're looking for. Now, granted, I was playing a Tweed, so like going dry is totally fine. Like, it's a little more mid-heavy.
Especially in a live gig.
In a live gig. You know, when I have this Princeton, I mean, it does open up my sound. It's a little more scooped. You want that reverb. So, I would say, do I have to have reverb? No. But I always want reverb.
Yeah.
I have to have delay.
I always want it as an option. So, here's a question for you. You got your Tweed. You've got this reverb that you're loving in this Princeton, right? You've got reverb that you're kind of pulling out of the HX1 for certain songs, kind of as an effect. But is this Princeton making you think that next time you take your Tweed out, that you're probably going to want reverb on most of the time?
No.
Really?
Really. Maybe it's me in a live setting, but like when it's more, so when I start and stop, when I'm strumming, I like the immediacy of not having reverb sometimes. And I say sometimes, most of the time. It makes me feel tighter as a band. And maybe that's just in my head. I don't know what it is. But like in a live setting, I just feel like my start and stop time without reverb, I prefer most of the time. Really, I only use reverb as an effect. Really long decays, really cavernous type stuff.
The Princeton will be different.
Maybe so.
Yeah, because you're going to be taking it on the first gig. This coming up week or so.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be much different whenever you get there with it.
You know what? Come back to me in a few weeks.
So with my Deluxe, when I take it out and I've got the reverb on whenever I go out to a live gig, I just turn the reverb down just a hair from what it is whenever I'm at home.
I will say our gigs are totally different.
Completely different. I'm
playing with a full band.
Yeah.
So
it's a completely different thing. However, I think you'll find a similar thing.
Yeah. So I think you have to have delay. If you got reverb, use it, but not a necessity for me.
Not a necessity, but I want both. Let's go ahead and move to my gas or pass.
Okay.
So we've talked about one of these before in a gas or pass. But there's a new thing that's been released. AmpRx is released. They had the brown box, and we've talked about that in the past. But they've released the Brownie, which I kind of love the idea of the Brownie, right?
Yeah.
So this is more set up for like modern amps. So you can go down on the Brownie 7 volts, which is not a ton, but it's probably enough. And then you can go up either 3 or 5 volts. The Brownie is the only voltage regulator they've got that goes up in voltage.
Okay.
So if you show up to a gig and you plug into some wall outlet, some old place, and it's 117 volts, but you're running a modern amp that needs 120, you can bump that up 3 volts and you're running perfectly at 120.
Okay.
So, and it's $299, so it's $50 cheaper than the standard, I almost said protein. It's $50 cheaper than the standard brown box.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on this? Is this a gas or pass for you? I initially had certain feelings about it, and then by the time I got done kind of like reading on it and researching on it, I had different feelings. So, go ahead with what you think.
I'm trying to think the voltage that when I plug in my Tweed, because it really is finicky. My Tweed will become sterile if it doesn't have the right voltage. Man, is 7 volts down enough? I don't need anything to go up. All my amps, I need it to go down. The voltage, usually. Unless I go into a shoddy place where the electricity
is 125 volts.
But usually my Tweed does better in those situations, so I'm not mad.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, honestly, I don't really need the up option.
The problem is with the original brown box is it goes down by percentages. So I can't tell you exactly what percent it's going to go down to.
Right.
Or what exact
Volt.
number.
Yeah.
This has got a standard volt that it'll take you down, which is kind of nice.
Right.
7 volts is quite a bit. I don't think, you know what I mean?
I was about to say, 7 is as much as I would need. It's the up feature I don't really need anyways. I mean, I guess you're saving $50, you might as well get one. You know what I mean?
And if you showed up with your Princeton's a reissue. It's meant to run at 120 volts. If you show up and it's 115 volts, like you can bump that thing up 3, get to 117, it's got a little sag in it. Or you can go ahead and get it up to 120, and that's exactly where it should be running. That's kind of why I started thinking. Initially, I was like, wow, 7 volts. I don't think that's going to be enough. I don't really want to go up on voltage, blah, blah, blah.
I think it's everything that you would need.
I thought, man, and it's smaller, which is awesome. $50 less, awesome. I was like, man, I just want the original one. I want the brown box where I can go down like quite a bit and everything's going to be good. But the more I started thinking about it, I was like, yeah, but I play quite a bit of modern equipment. Very rarely am I playing vintage like amps and stuff. So do I really need to go all the way down to 110 most of the time? Probably not.
So one could say you got the munchies for these brownies.
Bad joke.
So, yeah, I guess I've got the munchies for these brownies. But yeah, I started thinking about it. I was like, most of my amps are modern or they're reissues that are built for this. And I've kind of played with some voltage stuff in the past where like 117 is kind of the sweet spot where everybody kind of agrees somewhere in that ballpark for even modern amps is kind of great. A few volts less than standard. You're not tearing up your tubes. And most of the time the issue is voltage is too high. So you're going to be dropping it down. But 7 volts I think is enough. For me, it's a complete gas. What I'm saying is, initially, I said, no, I want the brown box. After a little bit of research and really thinking it over in my head, if I'm playing a 2-Rock, a Z-Rec, if I'm playing my deluxe reissue, if I'm playing this Marshall reissue.
If you're going between multiple amps, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, because sometimes you need to go down, sometimes you need to go up.
Yeah.
Even if you've got a vintage amp, it's probably enough to get you down dang close.
Right. I think honestly this might be more usable. Now that you've explained it, and I've listened to your TED Talk.
You're welcome.
I think, yeah, it's a gas.
Oh, good. All right, you want to move to your gas or pass?
All right, gas or pass. I made this specifically for you. I hope you know that.
Thanks for that.
So, I know you are just a huge fan of Paisley Tellies.
No, I don't like them.
So, and I'm talking about the pink Paisley.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a display right somewhere around here. All right. The pink Paisley Tellies, right? Well, I was looking at these. I was like, you don't have a maple board telly.
Nope.
I think this is right up your alley. So you can get the Japanese ones used for around $1,800 right now. All right, you can get Japanese, but I was looking at Custom Shop, okay? And you can find a Custom Shop with a maple board, and they're right around $4,200, okay? But I'm not even talking about a normal like Tele solid body like this. Do you know they make Thinline Paisley Teles?
Yeah.
Custom Shop,
Played one.
maple board,
Yep.
and you can find them for about $4 even.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those?
Well, the one Custom Shop Thinline Paisley Tele I played it at Carter's Vintage, and I was not impressed.
Really?
Yep. It was on the scale of Custom Shop Fender Telecasters I've played. It was on the lower 30%.
So was it that guitar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, because I picked up multiple Custom Shops that day and some vintage stuff. Played a little bit of every. You know how it is when you go to a guitar shop, guys.
Yeah, you gotta try it out.
Got to try a bunch of stuff out. And on the Custom Shop range I played, it was probably the worst Custom Shop I played.
Okay.
Very surprised.
Okay.
I completely attribute that to that specific guitar.
Okay.
Probably why it was still sitting there on the floor.
Right.
Because that stuff at Carter's gets swiped up quick if it's good.
Right.
So it kind of turns me off a little bit to the Thinline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I was going to go Thinline 2, I would want the like 70s style Thinline with the, what do they call those pickups? Kunafe,
Yeah.
whatever pickups.
Kunafe.
Yeah, I think that's what I would want for a Thinline.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not interested in the Thinline.
Okay. All right.
I am interested in the standard Custom Shop Paisley.
Okay, not the Japanese one?
No, I've played one of those too. And I thought it was
For
good.
the price point, it's pretty good.
I thought for the price point it was really good.
Yeah.
Japanese stuff is known for being really good.
Yep.
I've played one of the newer Japanese ones, like in the last 10 to 15 years. I've not played one of the old Japanese ones. Not that I really think there's much of a difference, but you always kind of wonder,
You
right?
never know. Yeah.
And I thought it was a great guitar, but it didn't go, buy me.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have that thing.
Yeah, it didn't have a it factor to it.
Right. And I've got this Tele that is just killer. I love this Telecaster. It's my favorite Telecaster I think I've ever played.
Yeah.
I've played a few that are on par with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, everybody finds that guitar they fall in love with.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
this
not
is
to
it.
brag, but I kind of helped pick this out. So
He did help
from
pick this up.
Wildwood.
Yeah.
Hashtag Wildwood's the best.
Thank you, Wildwood.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's hard for me to find a Telecaster that I like as much as this one.
Yeah.
But I do think the Paisley Teles with the maple board, the Custom Shops, are right up my alley. It's a gas.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna do anything about it. I would change the pickups that are in those. I was reading the other day what comes in. I'm blanking on it right now. But I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, I'd probably swap those pickups out. Or maybe since it's Custom Shop, I could order it with a different set of pickups.
Yeah. Would you want Lawlers?
No.
If you changed it?
No, I think I would change it. But I've been on this Rob McNelly kick lately.
Uh-huh.
And Don Mayer is the bridge pickup that he's got in his. Justin Ostrander, however you say his name.
Yeah.
Great guitar player also. He's got a Don Mayer in the bridge of his.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would go with. There's a lot of people talked about them. They're kind of hard to get a hold of. The other thing I'd consider is Ron Ellis.
Okay.
Because they're just known for being so amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just for trying something different out. But I love this guitar, so it's going to take something really to, you know, smack me at the big wallop of, you got to buy this guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But there is always that itch of, man, I wish I had a maple board Tele too.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm a fan of the alder bodies, so I kind of like the idea of alder and maple board.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested in ash too. You know how it is.
I think the Paisley thing, though, has always been up your alley.
Yeah, it has.
So.
It has. Well, let's go ahead and move on, I
Okay.
guess. Oh, I didn't even ask you.
Yeah.
Is it a gas or pass for you?
Not that specific guitar for the price and everything. No.
Okay.
It's not. I actually would like the Thinline probably more.
I think you would too.
Yeah.
Not the one I played. It was junk.
Well, you know, not every one of them's great, so.
No, I mean, that's how it is. Every piece of wood's different, how it all flows together. Maybe if you moved the neck to a different guitar and put a different neck on there, it would have been amazing.
Yeah, right.
That's just how it goes sometimes. Can't all be winners, folks.
Nope. So, anyways, what's your main topic?
Let's go ahead and move to my main topic. My main topic is about humidity in your guitar. This is not something we want to talk about, guys.
This is a boring topic.
So interesting. Don't let him lie to you. So it's interesting to me. So I want to talk to you about humidity in your guitar. It's winter time, or we're just coming out of winter, so maybe we should have done this way earlier on.
Yeah, we definitely should have released this probably in like October or something.
You know what? We will hit this subject again in like the late fall and winter, just to kind of send a reminder out there.
Just a little recap, you know, because our placement's perfect.
Yeah, next time we'll do better. But you know what? It kind of goes for all year and kind of goes for...
So when I think humidity, I'm
Yeah.
going to cut you off.
Okay, great, thanks.
I don't think of that. I think of this.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
This is what it's about. Here, you should be holding this guitar.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be confused if I see a picture of you and that guitar talking about humidity.
Okay. So, yeah, it's a much bigger deal on acoustics, right?
Yeah.
So we think.
Oh?
It can be. It just depends on what's going on. You do have to think about, like, how much of this surface area is covered up with lacquer, right? So the exterior is completely covered up with lacquer except for the fingerboard, but the whole inside is all open pores. So it's always soaking up or drying out, right? So we live here in the Midwest, and over the summertime, humidity is not a problem.
I was about to say, it's great in the summer.
In the summer, we've got really high humidity.
Yep.
And we don't have any problems with that. So
It's really great, especially when you get sticky as soon as you walk outside. So if you haven't been to the Midwest, it's just a joy.
yeah, it's great. And like you've got sweat pouring down your acoustics when you're playing outside. It's amazing.
Yeah. Love the place.
But so what I've got a few suggestions for you guys to kind of keep an eye on humidity. Will you grab that little thing next to the black box over there? It's a little white thing.
Oh.
So you can go pick up one of these. It's a hydrometer. You can go pick one of these up at a hardware store. I got this one off Amazon. They just take little batteries, and most of them will do the humidity in the room, and they will also do what the temperature is in the room. So I would suggest to go grab one of these and stick it in your room. You can kind of keep an eye on your humidity. They say between like 45 and 55%. But once your heat starts running in your house is going to dry out, especially in like the Midwest or if you live in a dry, arid environment. Whenever that happens, you're going to notice on your acoustics, you might get some sharp fret ends. What have you heard about this?
Fret sprout.
Fret sprout. Yeah. Have you had this problem before?
So I'll be real honest. I'm terrible about keeping a humidifier in my room. I mean, I'll do the humidipacks,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about the extent of it. I really should get better about it.
Yeah.
My guitar maintenance is not that great,
Okay.
as we have discussed.
So you've had fret sprout. That's what you're saying.
I've had a lot of fret sprout.
Okay. So yeah, keep your guitars away from fireplaces. Keep your guitars away from like directly over like heating vents and stuff like that. If you've got a radiant heater, keep it away from that stuff too. Just in the natural environment, it's going to start, drying out, especially in the winter. So most of the manufacturers are making good stuff now. Humidipacks, things like that, all work. Probably better to keep them in their cases, to be honest, for humidity.
And I have.
I leave mine out all the time, but I try to kind of keep my humidity at a right level. But it's a chore, to be honest with you, in some ways. So there's a few easy ways to kind of get by with it. So pick up a hydrometer, and then you can kind of set it in the room, give it 24, 48 hours, let it kind of adjust, and see what your humidity's at. What I've been doing over the last several years is once we hit like November and the heat starts really kicking on quite a bit, I keep an eye on that hydrometer, and every day pretty much I just go grab like a humidifier from like a Walgreens or anywhere, and I will basically run it on low. At least once a day I'll fill up the tank and completely run it full, because I've got all my guitars in like one room. And that pretty much keeps the humidity in that one room good. Mm-hmm. You got to be careful if there's like filters or anything inside that humidifier, because you're going to build up mold. There's like junk you can build up in there. And if you buy a cheap humidifier, honestly, what I would do is go buy a $15, $20 humidifier at the end of the season, throw it away. Because you're running it so much, you don't want to build up mold and mildew and then that get out in the environment. So for like 15, 20 bucks, you can get a cheap humidifier that you can run pretty often throughout the wintertime. And yeah, you can get rid of it. You've got a brand new one. You know it's clean. You don't have any problems with it. Of course, you can go out and clean it. I'm not saying that's best for the environment or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if I'm being honest, and you don't want to grow
So
a bunch of
every
that
year,
stuff,
waste your money.
waste your money.
And
Waste your money. Does he not care? This is why his guitar maintenance sucks. All right, go knocking stuff over.
You dumped our coffee.
Sorry about that, Greg. So I would go out there and pick one of those up and do that. Keep an eye on your acoustics. You're going to get cracks in your acoustics. You're going to get like seams coming apart on it if it really dries out a lot.
It happened to my Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Not good. The D15 I had.
And how's it sound compared since it's fixed?
So, not great.
No?
I'm pretty sad about it.
Yeah, it's not the same, is it?
No, it's not. It's never been the same since.
Yeah. So, go out and pick one of those up. I think it'll be a big help to most people. Between 45 and 55% is where you want to be. If I start getting above like 60%, I usually cut the humidifier off. And sometimes you come in and heat's not been running much and it's good. You know, if it starts getting a little dry, don't freak out. If it hits 30% or something for a day or so, like don't freak out. It's not going to immediately start. I mean, this thing's got moisture in it for a reason. So acoustics definitely a big deal. Take that for a second.
Yep.
But something else to think about is, yeah, this electric is fully covered in lacquer everywhere except for the fretboard, right? No, this thing's semi-hollow. So inside here is all open pores too. So as much as we worry about acoustics, which is a big deal, that top can crack and split, bridge can pull, all kinds of things. Remember, if you've got a semi-acoustic, semi-hollow, like a 335 or something similar, something like this Duesenberg, these things will dry out really quick too, because there's no lacquer on the inside. So it's always open to moisture or lack thereof. Is there anything else you want to add? I've been talking this whole time.
I was about to say, I don't know much about guitar maintenance, so I'm kind of learning as I go.
Okay. So yeah. So pro tips, go pick up a hydrometer, see where you're at. Especially if you're in a dry environment or it's wintertime, you're running heat, grab you a cheap humidifier and run it at least once a day. Kind of keep an eye on the humidity. And maybe you got to adjust how it goes. You can either clean it and try to like get all that gunk out of there, or just get you another cheap humidifier the next year. Keeping them in cases is a good idea.
I was about to say, that's what I do. I keep them in cases and then I have humidipacks.
Yeah.
And I do keep them out of the direct heat. I put them in a closet and put the door over it, a sliding door over it, and then it's not affected as much. So
it's awesome. But yeah, if you guys have any other tips, I've heard of people getting like sponges with Ziploc bags, filling up their sponge, poking holes in the Ziploc bag and putting it in their case.
Right.
Don't put anything directly wet in the guitar if it's an acoustic.
Bad idea.
Yeah, they do have like little snake things you can put in there where it doesn't touch the guitar. You have to like put it in water and like wring it out and put it in there. Those do work good. Just be careful it's not like dripping in the guitar.
Right.
But most companies now are making good stuff out there. But definitely think humidity, especially now since we're going into spring and it's going to rain a bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll hit this subject again in the fall, I guess.
Okay.
Don't let your guitars crack like Colin.
Yeah. It's not very fun, especially when they don't sound the same ever again.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.